What's going on, guys, and welcome back to 4K Motoring. I'm Chris, thanks for watching. Today we've got another product review and something you guys might be a little tired of, but with a bit of a twist. You guys have seen the lithium jump starters here on the channel before. We've used quite a few of them, dozens in fact, and have found them all to be pretty much the same. There's not a lot of difference between the different models. There's some variances in overall power and some slight changes, but overall they're all pretty similar. We received a new package from a company called Gooloo, and I'm actually kind of excited about this one. Now, Gooloo is responsible for making the very first lithium jump starter I ever got roughly 10 years ago now, just short of 10 years ago. I've been using this thing, and this is probably the one that I've used the most in my life. It's been used a bunch, and this thing has been solid. As old as it is, it still has a 66 watt-hour battery, a starting current of 350 amp with a peak current of 800 amps, and this has been able to start everything that I've ever tried to start. New from Gooloo is their new Titan series jump starters. And when we look at them, size-wise, they pretty well eclipse their old jump starters. When we look at the specs of them, we're gonna see we have an 88 watt-hour battery, so a significant overall capacity jump, which I really like to see in these things. Typically the capacity is pretty small. This one has quite a bit of battery. Has a starting current of 800 amp for 3 seconds, 500 amp for 5 seconds, and a peak current of 4,000 starting amps. It is USB Type-C input, which is nice, and does 15 watt fast charging Type-C output. So overall, I'm pretty happy with the spec list on this thing. It has a cheesy flashlight. They all have a cheesy flashlight that has a couple modes. The display, all it has is a power button with a indicator that shows you how many bars the battery has, which is really the same as this old one that I've had, same system. So I don't think there's a big control difference in them, which is kind of nice. They're very easy to use, and it has a lot of power. Where that differs is in two ways. Typically, you guys may be used to seeing something like this. These are the typical jump leads that come with these units, and as I found, the jaws are pretty hard to bite into things with those little teeny tiny brass, what I'm assuming is brass or copper teeth on there. They are pretty difficult to get on a lot of things, and they don't have a long cord. The Titan series comes with these massive jump leads. While the cords are roughly the same overall length, they are clearly a thicker gauge, so more power. And look at these teeth by comparison. These things are going to clamp onto some big terminals, some big batteries, and be able to make some good contact. For those of you that have never used one of these, this is a pretty standard setup for these lithium jump starters. These are some better components than I've seen before, but overall this is kind of what you get, is a plug and the two jump leads. On the plug there's usually one button that says boost or power or something like that. What this does is, normally when this connects to a battery, it'll read the voltage and apply the power that it needs to. If your battery is super dead and has no voltage, it won't read anything, and the computer inside this lithium jump starter may not think it's connected at all. So this boost button allows you to bypass that programming and apply power directly to the battery if you know it is hooked up correctly. Just be careful, because there are no safeguards in place when you hit that button. Speaking of cords, something that I do keep with these is a new type of charging cord I got from a company called Magtame. I'll leave a link for these in the description below. These are magnetic cords that allow you to very easily unravel them, but then they just always snap back in place, so you don't have to worry about these things getting all tangled, and then they fit right with your jump starter. I have a USB-A to USB-C, and also a USB-C to USB-C. I'll leave a link to those in the description below as well. Along with this jump starter, they sent me this lithium-powered battery inflator, which is pretty awesome. It is a 27 watt-hour battery, inflates from a pressure of 4 to 160 psi. So I took this to Texas with me and was able to keep it in the motorcycle, in the saddlebags. It is small enough to do that, and fully self-contained, battery and everything. Pretty cool to have on hand, works as a battery bank and an inflator. Awesome to keep with you. Does really well for reading pressures and setting pressures. You set it to the pressure you want it to go to, it inflates to that and then stops. Pretty cool. With some things like bicycles, I found it to be a little difficult to find the actual pressure setting. It is locked in when you turn it on. It locks into a couple presets for cars, bikes, basketball equipment, stuff like that. And it has a pressure range for each of those that it won't let you exceed. So if you're trying to go to like a tubeless mountain bike with like 14 PSI, something like that, this thing requires you to go to the kilopascals setting and do some conversion, which is a little bit frustrating. Also, I don't know if you guys can see this screen or not. You probably can't because our garage door is open and there's sunlight coming in and it is super dim. It provides a lot of actual good information. It is really easy to see in the darkness, and I think they have the setup well. It is just super dim, so it's kind of hard to see. I've now used it a bunch around my motorcycles, around my cars. It's had no problem even filling up a flat tire up to about 40 PSI. It's done great. The test I want to do yet that I will bring you guys along with, I want to see if it will take one of my 65 PSI load range E tires on the 10-ply tires on the Titan, if I can deflate that entirely and see if this thing will pump it back up on one charge. So let's find out. You guys may have seen this product before, this ARB tire deflator that I've been using. I do have a video I made a couple years ago about taking this truck on the beach and the equipment I use to both deflate and inflate the tire with a Smitty built, pretty beastly air pump that has no problem filling up 4 of these 65 PSI tires. We're gonna go ahead and deflate the tire down to 0. We're gonna go ahead and try and pump it back up on one charge and just see how well it works. All right, with that set, it didn't let me stay in car mode to 65. I had to go to bicycle mode, but now I'm at 65 PSI. You're gonna press it on, get it tight, it's locked in, it's showing 0 PSI. Again, can't see that, but all we're gonna do is press start. It kind of walks on its own, which is kind of hard to keep up with. So we're going to let that run and see if it's able to get that tire up from 0 PSI to 65. I do have my timer running to see how long it takes to see if it does do it. And I'll let you guys kind of time lapse along and see what you think. Well guys, my camera turned off before the actual pump did. We ran right for 10 minutes and 45 seconds. Looking at the display in here in the light where we can see it, we have 2 flashing bars in the center, which I believe, according to the manual, means this thing has overheated. And as typical with a lot of these smaller, especially the battery operated ones, they do have duty cycles, so they'll run for X number of minutes and have to cool for X number of minutes. So this thing ran for 10 minutes straight, got our 275/70 R18 tire, load range E. It's a BF Goodrich All-Terrain KO2 from 0, completely flat, all the way up to 30 PSI. So drivable, still definitely low for this truck, but that's what you can expect in about 10 minutes. Now, the 30 to 65 I think is going to take longer. That usually is harder to pump against, so normally that part goes a little slower. So I imagine it's going to take about 3 duty cycles of this thing to get one tire up to full. That said, in one duty cycle, this is drivable enough to get you out of a location and not be dangerous. So what I tell you is, if you have a normal car with smaller tires that require a whole lot less air, or something small like a motorcycle, this thing is super easy to keep around and something I would highly recommend to have on hand, without a doubt. So in that 0 to 30 PSI test, we did run this battery dry, so the 27 watt hours doesn't get you a whole lot for bigger trucks. So here's my overall takeaway. The Gooloo Titan series is a jump starter I would absolutely trust, and I know will be around for a while. Like I said, that's the first jump starter I had almost a decade ago, and it's still running strong, so I do believe in this brand. The Titan series jump starter has a huge capacity battery compared to a lot of the ones I've tested, so that's a good sign, especially if you're using it as a battery bank, can more likely charge things a lot more with just that one unit. So that's what I got for you guys today, just the Gooloo Titan series charger and air compressor, as well as our Magtame magnetic charging cables. If you have any questions about these products, let me know in the description below. I'll link a couple videos that have some similar products. You guys let me know what you think. As always, thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time.